You're laying in bed alone, in one of the most haunted mansions in all of England, Raynham Hall. The fire in the hearth has long since died down, leaving the room in near total darkness. Outside, the wind howls through the empty corridors, rattling ancient windows like the house is trying to speak. You should feel safe under the heavy blankets of the grand four-posted bed, but you don't. There's something wrong. The air feels too thick, too still. Every shadow seems to move just beyond your vision, and you can't shake the feeling that you're not alone. Your mind races, telling you it's just your imagination. Calm down. But deep down, you know something is watching. Just as you start to doze, you feel it. At first, it's just a gentle tug at the edge of the blankets. So subtle you almost think you're dreaming. But as your heartbeat quickens, the tug becomes stronger, more insistent. You freeze, terror coursing through your very veins. And before you can even process what's happening, the covers are violently ripped from the bed. Your whole body locks up in fear. You try to scream, but no sound escapes your throat. You can't move. You're paralysed, gripped by an invisible force. It's as if something has wrapped its cold fingers around your ankles. You feel them tighten, and suddenly you're yanked downwards, dragged across the bed like a ragdoll. Your mind races. This can't be real, you think to yourself. Your hands scramble for something, anything to hold on to. But they only find the smooth, cold sheets. The bed frame creaks, the wood groaning under the pressure as you're pulled with impossible strength towards the floor. The cold stone hits you hard, knocking the wind from your lungs. Your head spins, panic surging through your body, but it's useless. The force grips you tighter, your ankles burning with the icy cold of its touch. You try to fight it, clawing at the floor, but your nails dig uselessly into the stone, leaving nothing but bloody trails in their wake. Then, in the silence, you hear it, a whisper, soft at first, like it's coming from inside your own head, but then it grows louder, filling the room with an unnatural, guttural sound. It's speaking words you can't understand, but the meaning is clear. Whatever this is, it's not done with you yet. You're pulled again, harder this time. The darkness swirls around you, and in your panic, you glance towards the window. The thin moonlight seeps in, casting long shadows across the room. And there, just beyond the bed, you see her. A figure, dressed in white, pale, and deathly still. Her eyes hollow, black voids. She's watching you, her lips twisted into a smile that doesn't belong on a human face. You can't look away. Her presence freezes you in place, a primal terror overtaking your mind. She steps forward, her gown gliding silently over the floor as the force around your ankles tighten. You claw at the floor again, your fingers bleeding, your breath coming short, rabid gasps. But just as you think it's over, the force lets go. The room falls silent again. You collapse, gasping for air, your body trembling uncontrollably. The room falls silent once more, but you can still feel her, lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting for the moment when you let your guard down again. Now, this sounds like one of those fake ghost stories, the kind told to spook you before bedtime, but it's not. This is the actual eyewitness account of a woman who made the mistake of staying at Raynham Hall, who lived to tell her tale. The story of Raynham Hall and Lady Dorothy Walpole isn't just tragic, it's filled with cruelty and betrayal that left scars far deeper than any death. Lady Walpole was born into privilege. She was a woman of grace, wit and beauty, destined for a life of comfort among aristocracy. But fate, it seems, had far more sinister plans. Her marriage to Charles, the second Viscount Townsend, was no romantic fairy tale. It was a union forged in ambition and power. Behind the grand facade of Raynham Hall, Dorothy's life became a prison of control, deceit and violence. Whispers of an affair began to circulate, and Charles, consumed by jealousy and rage, saw only one way to punish her. He locked her away. Within the cold, unyielding walls of Raynham Hall, Dorothy was stripped of everything she'd ever known. Isolated from her family, her children, her friends, the world outside was cut off entirely. The grand rooms that once echoed with laughter now became her personal cage, her freedom ripped away by the very man who was supposed to protect her. Days turned into months, and months into years, and yet still she remained trapped. The cruelty didn't end with isolation. It's said that Charles had her watched, guarded like an animal. Servants reported hearing her cries late into the night. But nobody came. No one dared. Dorothy's only company was suffocating darkness, the cold stone, and the agony of knowing she would never leave Raynham Hall alive. Her pleas for mercy were ignored, her cries unanswered. She was silenced, her existence erased from the outside world, as though she never lived at all. And then she simply disappeared. Some say she died of a mysterious illness, but others whisper of far darker fate, poison, starvation, or worse. No records can confirm the exact nature of her death, and that, perhaps, is the most chilling part of all. Her suffering was hidden, buried deep within the walls of Raynham Hall, her body sealed away, forgotten as if she ever existed at all. But she didn't forget. Lady Dorothy's spirit remained filled with rage and sorrow, bound forever to the place of her torment. For centuries, those who dared to walk Raynham Hall's corridors have spoken of the White Lady, her pale face and hollow, gaunt, ghostly figure. But what they spoke about the most was her eyes. Her eyes was what they remembered with perfect clarity. Eyes filled with the pain of a woman wronged, the rage of a stolen life, the cold, vengeful stare of someone who will never rest. The most infamous sighting came in 1835 when Colonel Loftus saw her, standing at the top of the grand staircase. She stared at him with those dead hollow eyes as if daring him to look away. He never forgot that face. The face of a woman trapped in her own personal hell and blaming the world for it. The ghostly photograph taken in 1936 only confirmed what so many had already seen. Those who have gazed upon her never forget the sense of creeping dread, the knowledge that Dorothy's suffering continues, her torment eternal. And now, as night falls over Raynham Hall, her restless spirit walks again. Driven by the same agony and rage that consumed her in life, she searches for those who will hear her cries, those who will understand the cruelty that bound her to this place. But beware, because once you see the White Lady, she will never let you go. The White Lady of Raynham Hall remains one of England's most enduring ghost stories. For centuries, she has haunted the halls of her former home, leaving a trail of fear and mystery in her wake. The sightings are countless. The accounts remain eerily consistent. But what is she? The vengeful spirit of Lady Dorothy Walpole, trapped in her torment? Or simply a story passed down through the generations, growing more terrifying with each telling? One thing is certain, those who've seen her never forget. From the famous photograph to the chilling encounters of guests, the legend of the White Lady persists. Her image burned into the minds of all who dare spend the night at Raynham Hall. Given everything I've just told you, would you be brave enough to spend the night as a guest of the White Lady? Go into the comment section and let me know. Thanks for watching. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more haunting tales just like this one. This is the first in a special 10-part series leading up to Halloween, so stay tuned for more spine-tingling stories. Have you got your own ghost story? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear it. And don't forget to follow me on X for updates and more eerie content. Until next time, keep an eye on the shadows, because you never know who's watching.